Hi, it's Rich Marotta at the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas, and of course on the other side of the world at the Venetian Hotel in Macao. It's Brandon Rios against Manny Pacquiao, World Championship fight, and we are going to talk now to George Foreman, a man who knows all about flying long distances for big fights. Great to see you again, George. You look terrific. Always wonderful to talk to you. But let's talk a little bit about the fact that, I remember when you won the World Championship, you had to go to Jamaica. Then you defended it against Ken Norton, Caracas, Venezuela. You defended against Joe Roman, Tokyo, Japan. Then you fight Ali. In Zaire, it was crazy. What about all the travel? And of course, it's for the first time, it's hitting a guy like Brandon Rios.
You're taking a chance each time you go out because you say I feel good. I think I feel good, but the body says no. I'm not the same body. I had this punch where I could end fight in 1 or 2 rounds.
Right.
But finally, when it had to go beyond 6 rounds, then I was a different fellow. My body just quit on me. It absolutely quit. And I'm not the only one. That Thriller in Manila, Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali,
right.
It just changed the course of them physically forever. The other guy, Lennox Lewis, just got creamed in South Africa.
Right.
You would think he was all done. So now Pacquiao and Rios are going to wake up in that time zone. They're going to have to understand it's not going to be the same. And that body's going to be different because the body demands some respect too. Who has an advantage? No. Pacquiao keeps fighting all in Vegas and this neighboring area,
yeah.
So that he will not have an advantage either.
Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting point. I want to bring, Brandon Rios is a big underdog in the fight to Manny Pacquiao. Many people forget, because you were so dominant in your fight with Joe Frazier in Kingston, Jamaica, they forget about the fact that you were a big underdog in that fight. You were a 4-1 underdog when you fought Joe Frazier. And I'm sure when you turned around in your corner and looked across the way, and there was that legend himself, Joe Frazier.
I felt like an underdog too.
Yeah. What was that like? Because Brandon Rios is going to face that same kind of thing when he turns around and looks at Manny Pacquiao on the other side of the ring.
You see this famous figure, because you were in the ring first, then you see this famous figure coming up, and you look and think, am I really here? It takes a few moments before you wake. You think you're going to wake up out of a dream.
Yeah.
Then the bell rings, and he hits you, and you got to hit him back. That's the only time you realize, man for man, it's all the same.
Right.
But it takes a few minutes because you look over and you see a legend, and that's what Manny Pacquiao is. He's a legend.
Right. You fought, as we mentioned, in Tokyo, Japan. You fought Joe Roman over there. You did defeat him in 1 round. It is kind of funny. It's a different experience. I know a lot of times in the Asian countries, the crowds are very quiet during the course of the fight. We saw that when Tyson fought Buster Douglas over there, and when you fought Joe Roman, there are times during that first round you can almost hear a pin drop. It's a different. It's a whole different experience, a whole different culture, and that you're going through. Does that have an effect on a guy? You're eating different foods, all that stuff.
You would think that has a lot of effect, but you can manage, because it wasn't like I was brought up eating caviar.
Right.
I got to Japan and I just ate whatever was available. That doesn't bother you. It's just the body changes on you. The body wants to be home. It's like, I didn't tell you to come this far away. That's the greatest effect, the physical effect that is different.
Right.
And you can't change it.
George and I were actually together earlier this year in Macau on the top-ranked telecast. We were doing 2 different telecasts at the time. One thing I noticed, it was a long way to go over there, but it was a lovely hotel and a great site. What did you think of, what were your impressions of the Venetian, the arena that they're going to be fighting in tomorrow night?
I fell in love with it. And I think we're going to make Macau one of the most famous places in the world. They're going to be talking about it just like they talk about Las Vegas here.
Right.
It's a great place. The food is great. Have nothing against them, but you're still a long way from home.
Right. Now let's just talk about the fight, if we can, for a couple of minutes itself. George, strategies in the fight, and Manny Pacquiao is a guy who ran into one in his last fight, and he was not cold, and he's coming back out of that fight. Do you think it'll affect the way that he fights at all? Will there be any question marks in terms of the strategy that evolves during the course of the fight?
The good thing about the fight with Manny Pacquiao, when he got knocked out, he doesn't remember anything. If you don't bring him the film, if you don't present it to him, he has no knowledge of it. He can't remember that. You get knocked out like that, you wonder, I did not people argue, you got knocked out. What a lie you're telling. You don't remember. And they should keep it like that because he was being aggressive, over-aggressive, and he got caught with a shot. Could have happened to anyone. And I think because of that, it won't have any effect on him.
Do you think Brandon Rios has a real shot at winning this fight against Manny Pacquiao?
I think so. Manny has got a lot of pressure now. He wins a lot of fights, and he's the most charitable athlete that ever lived. This guy will give you his last penny, and that's what he does with his countrymen. And this big storm that came up, his charity will even increase.
Right.
He deserved to win a lot of money, but his heart is with his people.
Yes.
He's going to be affected by that, and I think that if Brandon Rios pours it on, he can be the next talked about guy. But he's going to have to do it in the 8th, 9th, and 10th round to set things up. Don't go early with Pacquiao because he's not afraid.
Final question for you. I get a lot of press releases from the Foreman boys. And they're involved in fact in this promotion as well. We saw you guys, as we mentioned, and were involved in back earlier in the year with the Zhu Shiming card that took place in Macao. How's the family taking on the promotional business?
That's why I'm here in Las Vegas. These guys are pushing me around. George is in Macao right now. Then George is here. George is here, and this George is here. But the point of it is, they want to be in boxing, and I think they can make a name for themselves if they respect the athletes, make certain that they get paid, and present equal boxing matches each time. Match the best with the best.
All right. Well, it's great to talk to you again. As always, George, you're one of the greats of all time. It's always great to see you. George Foreman here at the Venetian in Las Vegas. The other half part of the family is in Macao at the Venetian, getting ready for Brandon Rios and Manny Pacquiao. I'm Rich Marotta for Top Rank.